diabetic. I've been using the app for about 9 months, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about why we created it and how it's important for me. So, 24 million children and adults in America alone have diabetes, and a quarter of them don't. That's 8.3% of the population, and the numbers are growing. It's estimated that 1 out of 3 people will have diabetes by the end of 20 years. So it is important to learn about it and learn how to detect it. But for those of you who are not familiar with diabetes, I want to give you a real quick overview. So most of the food we eat gets broken down into simple sugars, which is called glucose. And after digestion, that glucose passes into your bloodstream, and it becomes the main source of fuel for the body. But so for a healthy individual, for that fuel, for that sugar to get broken down and get into a cell, it needs insulin. And in a healthy individual, the pancreas will release the right amount of insulin, and the sugar will transfer to energy and get into your cells. But for a diabetic like myself, either the body doesn't produce insulin, or insulin just simply doesn't work right. So as a result, the sugar just stays in your blood. So essentially, I have to become my own pancreas, and this is where tracking becomes. So we can quantify this. We can test our blood sugar, and we can see how it rises and goes and falls throughout the day. And a normal person with a healthy pancreas, the numbers go up and down throughout the day, but they typically stay within an ideal range of about 70 to 120 milligrams per deciliter. So, and then they go up and down when you eat, but they stay within that range. There are several different types of diabetes, which I'm not going to go into that level of detail, but regardless of the type of diabetes that you have, if the numbers go below or above that ideal range, there's certain risks that present themselves. So for example, if they fall below 80, there's an immediate danger of possible confusion, fainting, coma, or even death. And the onset of that is really quite tragic. So the risk is really high. If the numbers stay high above 120, you may not see immediate problems, but over time, if those numbers stay high, you run serious risk of kidney disease, neurological or cardiovascular damage, as well as blindness. And there are other involved with disease. So 30 years ago, they used to say that if you got diagnosed with diabetes, 50% of people will die within 20 years of kidney disease. And I've been living with diabetes for about 22 years. Don't worry. But things are not that bad today, as long as we're willing to do the work and to control it. There's been so many different tools that have been designed over time. We have meters that are small enough to carry with us that we can test our blood sugar regularly throughout the day. And there's even continuous glucose monitors that allow you to, if you put a sensor on your body, to literally have your blood sugar values sent to that meter in 5-minute increments. You can test it 24 hours a day. Insulins have gotten smarter over the years, so you can create a regimen that works to stay within that ideal range. And there's even insulin pumps that can be programmed to a finest amount of detail, deliver insulin also in 5-minute increments. But we also have this, which for me has become a crucial and essential part of my day. So we have all these tools, but these tools don't work on their own. Tools require our input, and this is where the tracking comes in. So there's a lot of different factors that affect the blood sugar in individuals, and some of them are really difficult to control or even quantify, like stress or illness. But there are 4 key factors that you absolutely have to control, have to keep track of as a diabetic to try to get into that ideal range. And those 4 factors are blood sugar, the carbohydrates, and food we eat, exercise, and medication. So for me, it becomes a routine, and really for any diabetic, it's a routine. For example, on a regular basis, I will test my blood sugar, estimate how many carbs I'm eating in a meal. I'll take both of those factors into consideration, calculate how much medicine I need, and I'll do a shot of insulin. And then in a few hours, I'll have to test again to see if it all worked, how well it worked, not correct, and then this becomes an endless cycle. We did not have the tools to do that before. We can't do that now. So how Logproc can track the four main factors I just described. And iPhone diabetes management apps have existed almost as long as the iPhone. But for me, the mobile health app had to be more than just a tracker. It had to give the motivation, which has been my biggest problem all along. So the other apps just didn't work for me. How do you create a health app that works? Well, obviously the data entry has to be easy, fast, and fun. If you've got a chronic patient and something feels clinical, chronic patient will probably go out. I may have a disease, but I don't want to feel like a patient all the day. Then you have this log of data. What do you do with it? Well, you have to work with the community that's using the data and figure out how to use that data. You have to be able to offer options and formats that so you can export it in a way that works for the patient and for the doctor. But then in between those doctor's visits, how can you use that data in a way that helps you make decisions? Diabetes today is not a disease that has a set regimen. I don't have the amount of medicine that I have to take regularly. So throughout the day, I make dosing decisions and calculations, and I'm not always right. So I need to be able to figure things out and make decisions accordingly, change my behavior. So let me give you a quick demo of how the app works. So I can make an entry of any one of those four factors in under 5 seconds, which was key for me. You go to the log. Once you hit save, it's automatic. You're done at that point. You made that entry. The log groups entries and relevant entries together, so you can see it easily when you view them. There's other features that do more. You'll see that I have averages of my blood sugars in there. You want to see how I'm doing over a month, over a week. Or you can have export options, and we've worked with both the diabetic community and the doctor community to figure out what formats and what levels of information they'd like to see. If you flip the phone sideways, you will see a graph of the data. Now initially, these fake graphs, initially you'll see all the data in there, but the buttons on the left let you filter that data so you can see just how you're doing in a particular time of day, or just how you're doing at lunch, for example. Now this has really worked for me because I was able to figure out over a period of several months that I wasn't doing that well at night consistently, and so I learned that I needed more insulin at dinner time than I do at lunch or breakfast. So this is just how it works for me. It doesn't mean it'll be true for anyone else, but without checking it, I've never learned it. When you go to a doctor, what you see is them looking for reasons why you messed up first, and they don't really figure out things like that until you sort of point them in the right direction. Tracking this instrumental. Let me just really quickly show you some results I've had. And so I have to admit I wasn't a very good diabetic for a very long time. And I have my before graph up there. You see that it's very erratic. The numbers are all over the place. My hemoglobin A1C, which is a test that measures the blood test measures the blood sugar over 60 to 90 days, was 9.8, which gives me an average of about 230. Well above the ideal range, putting me at very high risk of the complications I mentioned. My after graph, this is more recent. My A1C is now 7.4, so I'm down here about 160. Not perfect yet, but I'm getting there. It's starting to work. Tracking has given me motivation, but it's also given me the habit of doing it on a regular basis. Just to put it in perspective, in a study that's been done over 9 years tells you that any 1% change above 8% gives you a 40 to 50% higher risk for IBD, blindness. So clearly this is something I want to be working on. And for a long time I didn't quite have the tools to do it. And it's been working.
So we're really coming close to the time we have to get out of here, but I do have a question. So just so I understand, you have, or they have, somewhere, a way to do continuous monitoring of insulin levels, and you have a pump that can also deliver it. So how come they can't combine those two together just to continuously monitor and deliver what we need? Does that exist? Is that something that would be good? is this a step along the way?
There's one company that's working on combining in one device, but you still need several routers. You cannot have the delivery method and the testing method in the same site. So there's one company that has combined them. And the thing is, the continuous glucose monitors are not 100% accurate. So even if you have one, it'll give you trends so you'll know if it's going up or it's going down and actually getting combined tomorrow or etc. Right? But it won't, it's something that you still have to test at least 4 times a day. And you have to constantly calibrate it. Just give it values so it resets itself to where you know it's right. You keep watching it. So as you're eating, you still can't rely on your CGM, but it can, it has notifications, it leads if you go into low, it leads if you go into high. So it helps. The problem with having something like them communicate with my iPhone, I mean, I'll still have to input the data, even if I rely on CGM, which I know it's supposed to, but I probably will once I have it at least several times a day. I'll have to input it manually, and the problem there is that the companies are not opening the data, right? So we cannot get the data.
We should solve that. Then again, thank you. We have some more questions.